I'm open.
There you go.
Election.
Four of five.
Nicole, this is you and Brooke. Huh?
Here, Mom.
I think your boyfriend getting stolen.
Ah.
I think we should go to somebody else next.
Hey, whose hand?
Yeah.
I can go to money.
Thank you, Ellen.
Give me some money.
See everybody.
Is that a real tree? Yes.
I spent all my money on
We did
Christmas
good,
this year.
Well, I'll buy me something real good.
Grandma and Grandpa Williams, Shauna, Sherry, Teresa, Mela, Leah, Brooke, and Nicole.
About $20.
But you got your work out, you can.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
Probably
You want
50
me to
pounds.
go get some stuff? You want me to go?
All right.
Okay. I'll go get some scissors if you want me to. I'll go get some scissors.
You may not want to.
She got a Christmas tree, no fair. I got a teddy bear. I got an ice skating girl.
Mama wasn't even
I
looking.
see what the Christmas
like
tree
those
looks
colors.
like. Ooh, that's pretty.
No.
Don't you like? You want some paper? My Christmas present. I want a big one last
They're not that smooth, all right?
I wasn't trying to be.
We got 2 service here tonight. 27 for.
Oh wait, I know the paper
We got one on 11.
does. Too bad you
See out there, everybody gets the same thing regardless of age.
Right, tell me.
What are we Time she shops at that menu, it's too hard to decide.
Well, I got it while we're
I don't know,
That's some right there, Mom.
I know what. I know what.
It's over this from.
Yes, you know.
Okay, yes. Okay.
What is it? That's where you got that one Jennifer last night or whatever. Jennifer or that one boy that I don't
This
know
is-
last night.
I don't know.
Thank you. I got purple. Richmond's in almost everything. The cow. I got this one from.
Go to open the
Thank you,
Grandma.
Grandma.
Well, wait.
Happy cat.
Big head, guys.
They colored him. Everyone got thank you, Grandma. Smells good. Thank you. Smells good.
They all smell alike.
Smell. Naked.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you,
Is this from Ben?
It is.
That's cool. This got right pretty good. I perfect. Nice job, Mom. Mom, let's go.
All right.
Oh,
Navy bear.
cute. I love it. Look at him. I can wear this. Oh, big.
Good, open up. There's one for everybody in town.
Cuddle up with somebody. Oh, look at this, so cute. In the Navy. Cuddle up with somebody. I mean, somewhere.
Thank you, Mason.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Nathan.
All together? Thank you, Mason. That's some harmony with this, all right?
Oh. From
Mason.
Mary.
God,
Thank you,
that's
Nathan.
It's hard to get undone, isn't it?
I got
Well, there's no edges anywhere.
I got it.
Don't try to eat it, okay?
See you? Oh, cool.
And I'm fairly sure that Mason will laugh aloud at when he reads yours, Milo. In other words, read it
I
aloud.
know we're over now.
Cute, thanks.
Thank you.
I couldn't find any bears.
Don't wait a minute.
I couldn't get any more. Yeah, check it out so you're safe.
This is a private joke. Don't care if I do die, I do die. It's a brotherly thing, but it's going over the mantle, so.
With Mom.
Run backwards. Okay. I understand, don't you well.
How do you get over
I don't know. Wait till.
It says at the back. Ow!
You understand, right?
I get it.
Sherry.
Oh. Shitty.
What? Oh, that.
Oh.
That does get Sherry.
I was thinking of that. I'm like,
No, we need the party. That was
that wasn't cute, eh?
from Sally. Sally, oh boy. Sally. From Sally, oh boy.
Oh, that's just, that doesn't go to anything, that's just CJ, I'm gonna give the,
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
welcome.
Oh, look at it. I have to get that at the back. Cool. Thank you, Troy.
Oh.
It's me again.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sally.
You know what it is?
Huh?
Do you know what it is?
Ooh, fun pads. Two fun pads. Ow, look. Again. Hey. Oh, that's cute.
That's how I wait there.
Ooh, furry shirt.
Thank you, Sally.
Furry shirt.
Thank you.
Brandon again.
Thank you very much.
Oh, the last one of mine.
Say it.
Underwear. Hey, what underwear?
Oh.
I don't know, what are these?
You're all over for this. Listen, that's just from Aunt Linda.
This?
And
Do
those
it.
panties.
Leah, Brooke, and Nicole, all three of those.
So.
Brooke, you want to move over here? I understand what you want.
And it's
It's out there. Mom, thanks. Thanks, Donna. What is it? Let's all three of us.
Can I keep that box?
I want to keep their side first. Oh. I knew it.
Dan.
Mom, look. Dan.
That's pretty.
Yeah, you got one too. All right.
Yeah, that's right. This is what my clothes came in.
That'll work.
From Sally. Sally. The other two are. I know the other two are. I knew it. I just have to Finally, kid. I got a kid. I know what it is.
What do you want?
The Paw Patrol Barbie. I bought that baby when I was a kid. Little Barbie. I know it's in the other thing. Is it? I got the kid.
Yep.
Finally. I got him. Finally. I got the apron. Well, my Nicole, you're gonna love it. I don't know what it is. Yeah, go. Yeah. I was right the whole time. I knew it was there. Yes. Yes. So cool. Parents have to help me set it together.
No, there ain't no parents here, so you're on your own.
I saw a Paw Patrol Barbie. I knew it. I was right.
That's what makes it. It's all right. Girl.
Hey, hold it.
Mom, can I use this to get the stuff?
That's the picture.
Point.
Do you like it, Maylin?
Yes, ma'am, very much
Just
so.
nearly. Mom, can I use this to put my stuff in? Put my stuff. I didn't hit it. Thank you. That's who's it from. Cool. Shirt from me.
What's that?
Take tape.
It's a good picture.
Dartboard, you're very on.
That goes over there. Goes over there. Really?
Figure out how to wear them out.
That's okay. You pay for one.
From a mother's earrings. Big
I have clothes for you.
Where's my phone?
Nikki.
Thank you. Thank you, girl. $10. Oh, $17. Cool, I got it. 13.
Man, you can take me out anytime.
Let's do it. Cool.
Oh,
Sean.
Am I still in your way?
There we go.
Oh my God, I got paper.
CJ. Oh, shit.
Sorry. Did she say oh shit?
Did take mine too.
Your face red or something? It's a little hairy bear. The microphone.
There you go. Whoa. Oh, there.
I don't want you now. I'm cute.
Too bad. Do it anyway.
Cardboard. Cardboard on both sides.
Don't peek. Open it up.
No.
The cat's gonna come with you.
Oh my goodness, that's so cool. You drew that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Who drew it? Sherry. Good job, Sherry.
Hold it up, Maylin.
Hold it up.
In front of your face.
Move. Put it back up.
No.
Oh, use the other hand.
Good morning. I'm a stranger here, so strange that you may even wonder at my presence. I'm really not surprised, for as you celebrate this Christmas season, your mind is occupied with so many persons, so much more important than I. So it'd hardly be worth your while to level a single thought at me. Nevertheless, I am human enough to dream these many years how it might feel to stand in the presence of people, relate to them the things I know about the birth of the Christ child. That is why I'm here. I have not come to claim a place among the shepherds of the field, Mary, Joseph, and the wise men of the East. These persons should live alone and together in your heart. For fear that your graciousness might tempt you to lift me to their level, I must forbid that you even know my name. It is enough that you know that I am the man who owned the stable. Seems strange that I should have been drawn into this, the most thrilling drama the world had ever known. It happened so unexpectedly. It was in the year that Caesar Augustus sent out his decree that all the world should be taxed, that every living being should report to his own city. I was a resident of Bethlehem. Right excited were we all when we learned into our little town there would soon come thousands of people, men and their wives and children, to pay homage and duty to the throne of Rome. Some of us were bewildered, for we knew that Bethlehem was ill prepared to shelter and feed the multitude that would soon descend upon it. But we scarcely had time to lay a single plan until the day arrived, and our streets were swarming with visitors. Some had come early that they might find a place to lay their dead. We were surprised to hear us having an opera. Strangers said, "We have come from afar. Can you take us in? We're very weary." Now, we were poor people and had not much to share. But poor people are usually the ones that have the clearest understanding of a fellow man's need. And if, perchance, a poor person has sympathy to match their understanding, they will not say nay to the needy at the door. It was but a little while until our humble home was full. As the day grew older and the crowd grew greater, I thought to wander through the streets and see the multitude. There they were, thousands of them. Families were trying to keep together. Men looked troubled. Women were sagging with fatigue, and children cried for food and sleep. It was a strange and thrilling day for Bethlehem. To escape the push of the throng, I entered the nearby inn. Its candlelit lobby was quiet compared to the street outside. The flickering light danced across the faces of a score of persons who'd been fortunate enough to find shelter there. A man and his wife and 3 children stayed close together. They seemed awed by the close strangeness of their surroundings, and I thought I could see in the look in their face their yearning for home. In the center of the lobby, there was a circle of men that had the swaggering air of experienced travelers. They had rubbed shoulders with the world before. They had learned how to feel at home away from home. There were other inn dwellers too, and as they walked about and talked with one another, the very tone of their voice was enough to make one know they did not like having to be in Bethlehem. They hated the Roman government. They resented being herded in to be taxed and counted like sheep. However, their trouble was hardly worth noticing when presently the door opened, and a young man and his beautiful young wife entered. They stood for a moment and whispered, and then she withdrew into the shadows while he walked through the room, evidently in search of the innkeeper. May I be of some service to you, sir? It was the innkeeper himself. Why, yes, you may, the stranger answered nervously. You see, my name is Joseph. My wife and I have come from Nazareth, and we have no place to stay. The innkeeper said, I'm sorry. We have no room. The place is filled. Joseph said, but perhaps you could give us just a corner. It is urgent. We must find a place. It's the wrong thing for Joseph to have said. The innkeeper was far too prosperous that night to even consider being inconvenienced, especially by any such urgency. And as he led them to the door, he seemed to be hurrying them along, and opening the door, he bowed positively and said, there's no corner left. As the latch clicked, someone laughed. No room, no shelter, no bed. I'd read about such things happening, and now it was happening before my own eyes and in my own hometown of Bethlehem. It was unbelievable. And why I should have walked out into the night after the couple, I do not know. But there they stood in the shadow of the shelter in which there was no room. I could see the woman's face as she clung to Joseph's arm. She was frightened. Joseph was frightened too and dejected. I tried to cheer them with a smile that reflected the poor man's understanding. But in that hour, they needed more than just a smile or understanding. They needed somebody to go to work. Being a poor man and humble, I was never much for talking with strangers about their troubles. Perhaps if I'd waited long enough for my head to have conquered my heart, I would have passed them by as if I neither knew nor cared about their plight. But there's something about those two faces I could not walk off whistling. And as if the darkness were drawing the three of us together, I dared to say, could I help you, strangers? A glimmer of hope danced across Joseph's face for a moment. He said, we have no place to rest. I knew that I didn't have much to offer. But I said, I too am a poor person. Perhaps the three of us can find a way. You see, I own a stable. Maybe I shouldn't even mention it. For it was built for cattle. It is humble, the door is very low, but in it the straw is fresh and clean and sweet, and maybe even soft, made so by the welcome of my heart to you. Joseph looked at me and then at Mary with a question in his eye. Mary responded with a clear, lighted smile. Would the Son of God mind being born in a stable? The Son of Man might, but not the Son of God. To him, the stable would be a palace, and it had in it the sweetness of human love and the soft kindness of the human welcome. Well, the innkeeper would at least loaned us a lantern. So with the lantern in my head, I led the hand, I led the way to the stable. And my heart was filled with kindness. Yet I was glad that the darkness hid in my guest the expression of amusement that must have been on my face. The young couple was looking forward with such eagerness to the coming of their first child. They even made bold to think of him as the very Son of God. Well, such is life, I thought, with all of its fantastic hopes and dreams. A million other couples have dreamed great dreams for their firstborn. Reaching the stable, I hung the lantern by the door and bid my guests good night. But as I walked home, my heart was flooding with happiness. I wondered why. The whole incident was so absurd. I was entertaining guests in the stable. I had offered the shelter of my stable to two strangers, and they had gladly accepted. In the years to come, my neighbors would laugh at my crude hospitality. But yet I felt like I had done a grand thing. Nobody else had thought of offering their stable. And what if my neighbors did laugh? Behind their laughter would be the realization that I had done the best I could with what I had. Even if my efforts were very humble, no one would deny that my motives were very high. That was it. That was why I felt so happy. I had done a grand thing. And what on earth can bring greater happiness to any person than the sense of having done a decent thing? Well, at midnight there was a knock on my door. I was almost afraid to answer. I thought it might be Joseph come to tell me that he and his lovely wife had talked things over and had decided that their child deserved a better place to be born than a stable. I could not blame them, of course. Yet I was hoping hard that they would not leave, for if they should go, they would be taking something which I wanted to keep, something in my heart. It was not Joseph at the door. It was a shepherd wild with excitement. "What is it?" I said. "Sir, have the wolves attacked your flocks?" And he said, "No," as he answered me quickly. "We were startled by the swish of an angel's wing." And he, seeing our fright, said, "Be not afraid, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy. There is born unto you this day in the city of David a Savior who is Christ the Lord." Now, wait a minute, shepherd. Am I dreaming or are you crazy? The shepherd was in no mood to quibble. "In your stable," he said as he rushed away. Sure enough, there lay the baby. "Why, congratulations, Joseph," I said. "Is he not a fine boy, though? And may he bring you many blessings." Joseph said, "May he bring you many blessings, kind friend, for this child is the Son of God." I said, "Now, wait a minute, shepherd. Wait a minute, Joseph. We all feel that way about our firstborn. And I've always contended that the two people who never fail to take the price is a moonstruck shepherd and a new father. Well, blessings on thee, little child, and may you ever honor your father's joy in you." But then later there were other visitors that came, and they were not humble folk as we. Yet they did not seem to care that the child that they saw had been born in a manger. As if to explain their presence, one of them said, "We're searching for the king. We have followed his star." And they knelt down before him and opened treasures and gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They worshipped him. The King of Kings, born in my stable. Could it be that this was heaven's blessings upon one that had showed honest and crude and good kindness toward a stranger? In the years that followed, my neighbors did not laugh at me as I had thought they might. As the child grew and his fame soared high and wide, they began to look on me with a sort of pride. I could hear mothers whisper to their children as I passed them in the street, "Look, child, there's the man who owned the stable." I was happy, of course. I was also embarrassed. Christ had been born in my stable. I wanted him to know if I had understood who was about to be born that night, he would certainly have been given a more honorable place. One day I dared to speak to one of his friends about my embarrassment. "John," said I, "the Savior was born in my stable." I'm an old man now. And I should like to die with the thought that I had done something better for him than that. John said others have done no better. For even now he has no place to lay his head. Yet for this he seems to have no care. Only time after time his weary yearning is a held place of rest, not in buildings made with hands, but in human hearts. Hearts that are decent and clean and kind. John said, do you suppose he would design to shelter my heart? John reckoned that he would, and he did. And if you haven't invited him into your heart, I highly recommend it to you today, now. And may you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good morning. I'm a stranger here, so strange that you may even wonder at my presence. Really not surprised. Of course, you celebrate Christmas, you have so many other persons that occupy your mind. It's hardly worth your while to level a single thought at me. Nevertheless, I'm human enough to dream these many years of how it might feel to stand in the presence of people and relate to them the things I know about the birth of Christ's child. That's why I'm here. I have not come to claim a place for myself along with the shepherds of the field, Mary and Joseph and the wise men of the east. These persons should live alone and together in your heart. And for fear that your graciousness might tempt you to lift me to their plane, I must forbid that you even know my name. It's enough that you know that I am the man who owns the stable. Seems strange that I should have been drawn into this, the most thrilling drama the world has ever known. Happened so unexpectedly. It was in the year that Caesar Augustus sent out his decree that all the world should be taxed, that every living being should report to his own city. I was a resident of Bethlehem. Right excited were we all when we learned that into our town there would soon come thousands of visitors, men and their wives and children to pay homage and duty to the throne of Rome. Some of us were bewildered, for we knew that Bethlehem was ill prepared to shelter and feed the multitude that soon would descend upon it. And we scarcely had time to lay a single plan until the day came and our streets were swarming with visitors. Some had come early that they might find a place to lay their head. We were surprised to hear tapping at our door. A stranger said, "We have come from afar. We're very weary. Can you take us in?" Now, we were poor people, didn't have very much to offer. Yet, poor people are usually the ones that have the clearest understanding of a stranger's need. And if perchance they have sympathy to match their understanding, they usually share with them what they have. It was but a little while until our humble home was filled. As the day grew older and the crowd grew greater, I thought to wander through the streets to see this multitude that had come. There they were, thousands of them. Families were trying to keep together. Men looked troubled. Women were sagging with fatigue, and children were crying for food and sleep. It was a strange and thrilling day for Bethlehem. To escape the push of the throng, I entered the nearby inn. Its candlelit lobby was quiet compared to the street outside. The flickering light danced across the faces of a score of persons who had been fortunate enough to find shelter there. A man and his wife and 3 small children sat close together. They seemed awed by the strangeness of their surroundings. And I thought I could see in the look of their face a yearning for home. In the center of the lobby, there was a circle of men that had the swaggering air of experienced travelers. They had rubbed shoulders with the world before. They had learned how to be at home away from home. Perhaps they had met in other places and were renewing old acquaintances. There were other indwellers too, and as they walked about and talked with one another, the very tone of their voice was enough to make one know they did not like having to be in Bethlehem. They hated the Roman government. They resented being herded in to be taxed and counted like sheep. Their trouble, however, was hardly worth noticing Presently the door opened. A man and his young wife entered. They stood and whispered for a few minutes, and then she withdrew into the shadows while he walked through the room, evidently in search of the innkeeper. May I have you, sir? It was the innkeeper himself. Well, yes, you may, the stranger answered nervously. That is, I hope you may. My name is Joseph. My wife and I have come from Nazareth, and we have no place to stay. I'm sorry, my good man, the innkeeper said. We're full up. There is no room left. But perhaps you could give us just a corner, Joseph pleaded. It is urgent. We must find a room. It was the wrong thing for Joseph to have said that night. For the innkeeper was far too prosperous to even think about being inconvenienced by any such urgency. And as if to hurry them along, he led the way to the door. Opening the door, he bowed positively. There is no corner left. As the latch clicked, someone laughed. No room, no shelter, no bed. I'd read about such things happening, but now it was happening before my own eyes and in my own hometown of Bethlehem. It was unbelievable. And why I should have walked out into the night after the couple, I do not know. But there they stood in the shadow of the shelter in which there was no room. I could see the woman's face as she clung to Joseph's arm. She was frightened. Joseph was frightened too and dejected. I heard him say, if I could only tell them who was about to be born, what is about to happen. But Joseph knew it would be too much to ask one to believe. Mary knew too, for she said, no, Joseph, no one could believe now. Being a timid man and humble, I was never much for talking with strangers about their troubles. Perhaps if I'd waited long enough in my head to conquer my heart, I would have passed them by as if I neither knew nor cared about their plight. Yet there was something about these two that made me cast my shyness to the winds. I could not walk off whistling with those faces before me. And as if the darkness were drawing the three of us together, I dared to say, could I have you strangers? A glimmer of hope a moment danced across Joseph's face. He said, we have no place to rest. I tried to cheer them with a smile and maybe showed that I understood their circumstance, but there really wasn't much to smile about. And what they needed was not just understanding, that understanding would go to work. I said that I too am a poor man, and I have not much to offer. But maybe drawn so close together with such a bond, the three of us can find a way. You see, I'm stable. Maybe I shouldn't even mention it, for it was built Catholic. It is humble, the door is low, but in it the straw is fresh and clean and sweet, maybe even soft, made so by the welcome of my heart to you. Joseph looked at Mary with a question in his eye. Mary answered with a tear that was lighted by a smile. Would the Son of God, man being born in a stable? Son of man might, but not the Son of God. The stable would be a palace for him if it had the light of human love and the sweetness of human kindness. Well, the innkeeper would at least loan us a lantern, so with the lantern in my hand, I led the way to the stable. A strange sort of kindness flooded my heart. Yet I was glad that the darkness hid from my guests the expression of amusement that must have been on my face. The humble couple were looking forward with such eagerness to their first child that they even made bold to think of it as the very Son of God. Well, I thought, all other couples, I guess, have had fantastic hopes and dreams for their firstborn. Reaching the stable, I hung the lantern by the door and bid my guests a good night. But as I walked home, a strange happiness seemed to flood my heart. I wondered why. The whole incident was so absurd. I was entertaining guests in the stable. I had offered the shelter of my stable to two strangers, and they had gladly accepted. Nobody else had thought of offering the stable. And I thought, well, maybe my late neighbors will laugh at me. But I realized that I had done the best I could with what I had, and even if the neighbors did laugh, behind their laughter would be the realization that I'd done the best I could with what I had. That was it. That was why I was happy. I had done a decent thing. And what on earth can bring greater happiness to any person than the sense of having done a decent thing. At midnight, it was a knock on the door. I was almost afraid to answer. It might be Joseph, I thought. Come to tell me that he and his wife had talked things over and decided that their child deserved a better place to be born than a stable. I could not blame him, of course. But I was hoping hard that they wouldn't leave. If they would leave, they'd be taking something which I badly wanted to keep. It was not Joseph at the door. It was a shepherd, wild with excitement. What is it, sir? I said, have the wolves attacked your sheep? He said, no, as we were guarding our flocks, we were startled by the swish of an angel's wing. He, seeing our fright, said, be not afraid, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy. There is born unto you this day in the city of David a Savior who is Christ the Lord. I said, shepherd, am I dreaming or are you crazy? He said, the angel said he will be born in a stable, your stable, as he rushed away. And there lay the babe in the manger. Why, congratulations, Joseph. Isn't he a fine boy? And may he bring you many blessings. Joseph said, and may he bring you many blessings, kind friend. For this child is the very Son of God. Now calm yourself, Joseph, I said. We all feel that way about our firstborn. And as for you, shepherd, and your angel's story, well, I've always contended that the two people who never fail to take the prize is a new father and a moonstruck shepherd. Well, blessings on thee, little child. May you ever honor your father's joy in you. And later there were other visitors that came, and they were not humble folk as we. Yet they didn't seem to mind that the child that they saw had been born in the stable. And as if to explain their presence, one of them said, we're searching for the King. We have seen his star. We have followed its light. And they knelt down and opened their treasures and gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And they worshipped him. They had seen the King's star. The King of Kings, born in my stable. Could it be that this was heaven's blessing upon one that had showed proved the honest kindness to two strangers? In the years that followed, the child grew and the same sore time. My neighbors did not laugh at me as I thought they might. They looked on me with a sort of pride. I could hear mothers whisper to their children as I passed them in the street, look, child, there goes the man who owned the stable. I was happy, of course. I was also embarrassed. Christ had been born in my stable. I wanted him to know that if I'd only known who deserved to be born that night, he would certainly have been given a more honorable place. One day I dared to speak to one of his friends about my embarrassment. John, said I, the Savior was born in my stable. That's a poor beginning for a king. And I'm an old man now, and I'd like to die with the thought that I've done something better for him than that. John said, others have done no better. For even now he has no place to rest. Yet for this he seems to have no worry. His only concern seems to be to find a place of rest, not in buildings made with hands, but hearts, human hearts that are clean and decent and kind. I said, John, do you suppose he would design to accept the shelter of my heart? John reckoned that he would, and he did. And if you haven't invited him into yours, I urge you to do it today, now. Merry Christmas.